Kindly note that we'll be starting the session shortly. So if any of your friends are going to join, just inform them. Now, please switch off your video and mute your microphone for the entirety of the session, and do not open it unless instructed otherwise by the organizing committee. Also, please refrain from entering unnecessary or inappropriate messages in the chat box. The violation of these rules will result in an immediate removal of the participant from this meet and will also result in a blanket ban from all future ESL meets. So kindly follow these rules. Now, towards the end of today's talk, we'll be opening the floor to the participants to put forth their questions and doubts. Our esteemed speaker for the day will then just arbitrarily choose from among these questions and answer your queries. Apart from that, kindly follow our social media handles for further updates. We'll be posting segments and snippets of this very meet also on our social media platforms. So do not forget to check it. All right. Now, welcome to Cardinality, everyone. This is the brand new series by the Entrepreneurship Cell of IISER Kolkata. This is a career guidance and mentorship series wherein we bring in professionals from different career fields every month to speak about their journey in this new career path for guiding you students to choose a career path after graduation. Now, we aim to do this every month on a brand new topic, and today's topic is data science, and for this, we have our esteemed speaker for the evening, Mr. Rajarshi Roychowdhury. A little bit about Mr. Rajarshi. He's an alumnus of our very own IISER Kolkata. He graduated from our institute with a master's in earth science and later flew all the way to US to pursue his graduate studies. He later realized that he had a passion for delving in a career opportunity other than research field, and hence, along with his PhD, he started self-studying about the field of data science. He applied to several companies during his final year of PhD. His very first job in the field of data science was in a startup focusing on earth science technologies. And after realizing his passion for the field, Dr. Roychowdhury has now currently transitioned as a full-time senior data scientist in Johnson & Johnson, where he is now employed. I would now like to move on to Dr. Roychowdhury to share his experiences on the journey. Also, all the participants, you are free to post all your questions and queries in the chat box as he speaks, and he will address them at the end of his talk. Mr. Roychowdhury, over to you.
Okay. Hello. Thanks, Isha. Before I begin, can I ask Isha that whenever someone posts a question, you can just pause me and put it across so that I can answer them as it is.
Oh, absolutely. Right? I'll do that.
Yeah, that would be great. So let's make it very interactive, okay?
Absolutely.
So I have a couple of slides. So let me. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, just hold on. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So hi everyone, my name is Rajarshi, as just I was introduced, and so I'm a senior data scientist at Johnson & Johnson right now. And today I'll just share a little bit about how I progressed from the MS from IISER Kolkata to what I'm doing today. So let's begin by just introducing about myself. So I joined IISER Kolkata in 2007, and we were basically the second batch of IISER Kolkata. And when we joined IISER, we had no idea of what we were getting into. Like, there were no batches who had graduated, and we did not even have the first batch which had started its majors. So we had just one batch above us, and in second year at that time we did not choose our majors. I'm not sure about the current situation, but then we chose our majors in the third year. So with a lot of uncertainty, I joined IISER Kolkata in 2007, not really knowing what I want to do ahead or which major I'm going to take. So in 2009, the first batch of earth science majors was created, and we were the first batch. So the first batch of IISER Kolkata 2006 did not have the option to take earth science. And again, like when we entered earth science, we had no idea what we were going to study, because as you all know, like in India, like up till 12th standard, we never studied geology or anything. So we had no idea what we were getting into. So in 2011, it was a very important part of my life. I organized the first ever InquiVesta 2011, and this has been very close to my heart. We were the first so-called science fest in India at that time, and it was a very big event for me. Also, in 2011, I met my future wife in IISER Kolkata, so that's another critical year for me. So in 2012, I graduated with the BSMS, and at that time, again, like we did not have much guidance about career opportunities after a BS and BS and MS degree from IISER. We did not have a placement cell, and as we just had one batch of alumni before us, and they had just graduated a year before us, so they were also not able to guide us much about what different career paths we could take. So in the absence of any guidance, like the most probable thing for us to do was to apply for PhDs. And that's what I ended up doing. And I started my PhD at UMass Amherst. So at IISER, I was working on earth sciences, and I was doing a lot of lab-based, fieldwork-based work. But when I went to UMass, I slowly started realizing that lab work is not for me. So I wanted to do something more analytical and something more like programming based. So while selecting my PhD thesis, I started exploring other options. And within earth sciences, I decided to do my PhD on climate modeling. So I started my PhD, and I did not have a good strong background in programming or computer sciences. So while I was doing my PhD, I started taking a lot of different courses in programming, machine learning, AI, etc., which was also preparing me for my next step. That would be a job in the industry, as well as it helped in my PhD, which involved a lot of computational work. So I knew from the beginning when I started my PhD that I did not want to go into research full time. I wanted to go into some sort of industry job. And so to prep for this, I started attending a lot of CS courses. Some of them were in the university, many of them online. I started participating in different hackathons. I did internships and undertook a lot of networking, because anywhere you try to get a job, networking is very critical. So I started networking a lot with people in the industry, alumni from UMass. At that time, we did not have alumni from IISER in different industries, so that was something not available to me. So I started interacting with people from UMass, and also like just I would go to meetups organized by different companies such as Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., and try to meet with people who are working in these companies. So in 2017, when I graduated, I was pretty ready for the next step, and I towards the end of 2016, I started interviewing for a couple of companies. I did an internship again, and after my PhD, I decided to join a startup, a mid-tier startup called Quantum Discoveries. What Quantum Discoveries did was it was trying to build an AI-based platform for mineral exploration. So that was my first break into the industry, and I worked there till 2019, where I decided to make a switch to a different domain. And I was attending a conference actually in Boston, where I met with this group from Johnson and Johnson, who were doing really exciting work, and it was a completely different domain, and the work excited me. So I decided to just talk with them, and they interviewed me in the coming months. And in 2019, I joined Johnson and Johnson in Janssen, which is their pharmaceutical division. So since 2019, I am working with Janssen. And in 2020, last year, I moved to India for a 1-year cross-functional project based out of Singapore. But because of COVID, I'm in India, like sitting at home in Kolkata. But I'm working for both Singapore and US at the same time for 1 year right now. So that's a bit about my journey so far and where I am today. So I just wanted to show you a couple of pictures. So this is on the left top is me graduating with my PhD and with my family. And I so working for industry gives me a lot of time. We have a really good work-life balance, and it lets me travel a lot. So I love photography. So this on bottom left is a landscape photo I took last year in at Death Valley National Park in the US, and I get to travel a lot, not for work, but just out of my passion for photography. And in the bottom picture, that's my wife, Priyanka. She's also an alumnus of IISER Kolkata, and she's currently doing her PhD at Cornell University. So moving on. So today I'm a senior data scientist with Janssen, which is the pharma division of Johnson and Johnson. So Johnson and Johnson is a pretty large company with over $81 billion in sales last year. And out of that, about $41 billion came from the Janssen pharmaceutical division. Whenever we hear of Johnson and Johnson, we always think it's consumer products such as baby powder and soap and shampoo. But that's a really small part of Johnson and Johnson, which is like 13.9 billion of sales came from the consumer division, whereas the majority of the sales comes from pharma and the medical devices groups. So Johnson and Johnson is much bigger than what we usually know about it. And within Johnson and Johnson, our data science team globally is over 2,000 people. And the Janssen Data Sciences DNA is unlocking smarter innovation with diversity. And our teams consist primarily of three groups of people. One are the data scientists like me. Then there's subject matter experts for the different functions in which data sciences exist. And then there are the software engineers who put our products, like our ideas, to production. So any large data science team will have all three of these functions. So I understand a lot of you do not have much idea about what data sciences is. So I'm just going to go through a little bit about how data sciences fits in with a large company like Johnson & Johnson, which is in pharma, which has nothing to do with technology per se. But even then, data sciences or technology plays a critical role in a company like us. So in Janssen, data sciences started in 2013 with a focus on research and development. And today it has grown so big to over 2,000 people globally with data science teams in every function of the company, right from R&D to commercial to marketing to R&D to designing new drugs to investment division, which uses machine learning to see which smaller startups should J&J invest in, and so on. So today it is a really big component of the company, and just in like 7 or 8 years, it has grown to such a critical role in the company. So how does AI or machine learning or data science fit in a healthcare industry? This is just an example because today I'm working for a healthcare company. So this is an example of how machine learning or AI fits in with a company like us. Now, if you go to a different company in the tech industry or travel or commercial, anything, these roles would change, but the tools would remain the same. So for a drug company like us, machine learning is used in drug discovery, in clinical trial efficiencies, in building tools for patient diagnosis, for medical adherence, for customer engagement. And customer engagement means both patients and the doctors who prescribe our drugs, and so on. And what are the tools we use? We use artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, advanced analytics, natural language processing, graph networks, etc. And all these tools help us solve these problems which are highlighted here. So any questions so far?
No questions yet.
Okay, let's continue. So keeping things very high level, I just decided to give one example of a data science project which I have been personally involved in. So this is a very high level example of how machine learning or AI can work in a drug company, for example. Okay, so this is an example of a project in which a method was developed to analyze disease progression pathways. So imagine a disease, the way a patient group can reach the ultimate stage of a disease to be a path. Now you can start from different points in your disease progression and take different routes to go to that path. For example, let's take the example of COVID. So the end of COVID uh, would be like you get cured. You're free from COVID after 15 days. Now, different patient groups reach this endpoint, which is being cured of COVID by different ways. Some people will get high fever first, then they will lose their sense of smell, and then they will have some breathing problems, take rest for 10 days, and get well. Some people will have their problems with very severe symptoms right from day one. Then they would be hospitalized, stay in hospital, say for 10 days, rest for 15 days at home, and then they will get well, and so on. So what I mean to say is the end point, which is getting rid of the disease, uh, can be progressed through different pathways. So what we use is what we developed is a machine learning tool to identify the different groups of patient and how they reach the endpoint in their disease journey. So, so these patient groups, so we study a lot of data collected by hospitals, by insurance companies, by doctors, etc., and use big data tools and machine learning to segment these patients into different groups. Now, once we have this knowledge, in future when somebody gets sick, we can we can we can immediately know which patient group that patient is in, and then we can have a very clear idea of what is the most probable pathway this patient will have towards the endpoint in the disease, and then accordingly we can help the physicians prescribe drugs to get the best outcome. So this is basically developing an AI model to identify the disease characteristics which influence how a patient reacts to drugs and identify patterns for disease progression. So by this way, we can identify patients who are most likely to react well to our treatment, which are the patients who might have significant side effects to our drugs, and we can identify the risk factors, etc. So all these will help us treat our patients better so that we can have the most optimum outcome for our drugs to our patients. So, and we are today we are using machine learning to do this. The project which I worked in was doing this for stroke. So basically, we know that stroke is a very severe disease, and a lot of deaths happen due to strokes. So we were trying to see what groups of patients are most likely to get stroke, and how do they reach the stage where they can get a second stroke as well. So we were trying to identify these patient groups so that physicians can treat them well, so that less patients die of strokes than what it is currently. So that was an example of how data science can help and has helped in the medical science domain. So this is one of the projects which I have worked on so far.
Mr. Roychowdhury, we have a
Yes,
question.
yes, sure.
Yusuf asks, is data science really just about looking at previous data and finding patterns, or can it actually predict something in a completely novel case?
So data science has its own limitations, right? So I it's it, this is, data science is not magic. So if I if in February, if I was asking data science to predict where how COVID will progress, data science can't help that. That is in the realm of modeling, or creating computational models to identify. But data science is basically using existing data and use those learnings to predict. So data science, the limitations of data science is, yes, you have to have data for it to make meaningful predictions into the future. Like if you have no data, you cannot possibly make predictions in the future. So that would be scientific modeling, which is different. So you can use some sort of like equations or something to predict, to imagine how things will be in the future for some uh, for a disease like COVID, for example. You can use uh, epidemiological equations to predict, but not using data. Does that answer the question? Kind of. Okay. So go on. So I did receive a lot of questions previously, and I took the liberty to summarize these questions. A lot of these questions are cover these 2 points. So how to prepare for a job in data sciences, and what courses to take for data science. Now, these are very open-ended questions, and no two data scientists would answer the same question for answer the same for this. So let me try to give my take on how you can prepare for a job. For me, I started this in my PhD, but you don't have to wait until your PhD to start preparing. You can start preparing right from your undergrad. And the best way, at least according to me, is to use the abundance of online courses which are available today. So there are many courses, websites such as Coursera, edX, Udemy, etc., which provide fantastic courses to get you introduced to machine learning. I don't know if IISER provides courses in machine learning and statistics today, but at our time we did not have any of these courses. And also it was not really prevalent at that time. So the first course I took was this machine learning by Andrew Ng, which is there in Coursera. It's a free course, and I would highly advise, if you're interested in data science, you should do this question, because like every data scientist I know has done this at some point in their life. It's a really basic courses, like the fundamentals, and very highly recommended. Second, you have to be really proficient in Python or R. So data scientists use mostly R or Python, and today most people are shifting towards Python. So this one course, the complete Python bootcamp in Udemy, is very good. I did it like long time back, I think in 2012 or 13, and this covers a lot of things you need to know in Python to start working on projects right away. But this is just one. There are like many Python courses you can choose to learn. You can go ahead and learn from anywhere. Now, once you have some understanding of machine learning and you can code in Python, then you can go ahead and do any of the courses from these websites. And there are like many more as well. Like all these websites provide free courses as well as paid courses. Honestly, you don't really need to do the paid courses, because the certificates as such don't really matter. What matters is how much you're learning from these. So if you're interested, I would highly recommend doing like slowly courses available on Coursera. There are like many groups of courses in which you like the entire curriculum would have 10 or 12 courses. If you have the patience, you can go do them all, or you can just do the ones you like. Then deeplearning.ai has a very good course on deep learning and neural networks. That's something you can do. edX, Udemy, and even YouTube, for that matter, have many courses. So if you spend some time doing these courses, you'll have a good understanding of what data science is. And then to prepare for a job, I think the next step would be to start doing actual projects. So you can start doing projects by participating in hackathons, or you can start taking part in Kaggle challenges. So I don't know if you know about this, but Kaggle is a very good resource. I should have put it here. So Kaggle.com has data science challenges in which they will come up with a business problem. Many of them provided by real businesses or companies. So they'll have this challenge in which they'll provide you with the data, and you have to you have to start solving it and provide a solution. The winners get really good prizes, and many times leads to internships and all. So that's something I would recommend. And apart from Kaggle, just try to use your learnings from any of these courses into what you are doing at IISER. For example, if you are in earth sciences and you are doing your master's project, you collect data from somewhere. Try to see how you can use machine learning in small ways, in using your own data. Or if nothing works out, there are many open data sources. So try to come up with problems which can be answered by what you have learned so far, and try to start doing small projects. Why I'm telling you to do projects is, once you have a collection of projects, this will actually serve as your first work experience when you start interviewing for companies. For companies, just doing courses does not have much meaning. So when I'm interviewing someone, what I want to see is how they have implemented what they have learned in real life scenarios. So if you do small projects, that would really help you to get a foot in the door when you're trying to get your first job.
Sir, we have a few questions.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, so Yusuf is asking, generally data science jobs in India are picked up by BTech CS graduates. So as BSMS graduates, will it be a hindrance to us for getting a DS job, even if we do all these courses?
So from my experience, and my experience is primarily based in the US, but from what I know from my friends who are data scientists in India is what you said, that the main jobs are taken up by CS. This was probably true 3-4 years back. But today, the companies are also opening up to the fact that to do data science, you need to have a strong research or analytical background and not a computer science background. Like in the first slide, when I was talking about the DNA of Janssen Data Sciences, you see there's a data scientist and there's a software engineer. So software engineers are the people who usually have a computer science background, because they are implementing the algorithms developed by data scientists to production scale. But to actually do research, to do the kind of research what I just told about, like the disease progression pathway, you don't need a computer science background. You need to have a really good research and a logical understanding of problem solving. So companies are realizing this, and slowly they are opening up to the fact that a BS or MS degree in basic sciences will be as good as a CS degree for hiring a data scientist. But the important thing is you have to demonstrate, you have to sell to the company that yes, you can solve real life problems using data, and you can sell that by showing project work.
All right. There's another question from Preetham. Can you elaborate the role of data science in the field of earth science, especially in the realm of atmospheric science?
Sure. So in data science can be used anywhere. For example, in atmospheric sciences, a friend of mine, like my batchmate from IISER Kolkata, he is working in the Netherlands Space Research Organization, a SRON in Utrecht. So he uses machine learning to predict the spread of methane from major events which release a lot of methane. For example, like volcanoes or some kind of accident which would release large greenhouse gases. So he studies the spread of methane using machine learning. So, but he works in a industry, not in an industry, but in an academia setting. I'm not sure exactly in industry which kind of companies would work in this domain, but so for atmospheric sciences, if I take a step back, in general, in earth sciences, there is a lot of data science work going on in oil and gas companies, in mining companies, in exploration companies. Then a large chunk of data science work in earth sciences goes in farming. So big companies like Bayer or Monsanto hire data scientists to use their domain knowledge as well as machine learning to predict which areas should be farmed when, like climate prediction, and how climate prediction fits in with the area knowledge and spatial knowledge, and how they can use predictive analytics to provide information to farmers about what is the best and what is the most optimum way to do farming. Then there is exploration, in which I worked for 2 years. So you can use deep learning to predict where to find the next big deposits. For example, like copper, like all the copper deposits which have been discovered in the last 10 years were the ones which were pretty easily found using geological methods. Now, in the last 10 years, the easy to find deposits have already been found, and the rate has really slowed down. So the next generation of copper deposits will be found and are being found using deep learning. So there are many companies in this domain. For example, like there's a company called Cobalt Minerals or Gold Spot Discoveries. They are using machine learning to look for gold in Canada and Australia and so on. So these are just a few examples of how data science is being used in earth sciences, and they are all over the space. Like there is no single company which would say that, okay, no, we won't use data science, won't use data today. So it's really widespread, and you can take any industry and you will have use of data science there.
Okay, so we have a few field-specific questions.
Mm-hmm.
How to make a career in data science being a chemistry major, and someone else is also asking how to make a career in data science from a bio major. Now,
Okay, yes. Yeah.
IISER has recently introduced a minor in CS. Will it be
Mm-hmm.
useful to land a data science role?
Absolutely. So any kind of coursework you do related to CS would definitely help you have a better understanding of the methods. So if you're interested in data science, and having a minor in CS would definitely be helpful, but not taking that course would not lock you out of a job. That's what I'm saying. It would be helpful, but it's not required. So a lot of these questions which I got were from like how to transition from any of the majors, bio, math, physics, or earth sciences. So I have a common answer for all of them. So you learn the methods and try to apply these to your field. Now, for example, in bio, a lot of bio is basically computational biochemistry, biology. They use different kinds of machine learning to do their projects. So try to do projects related to your thesis work or something, and if not, use open data sources to do projects. For example, in bio, there are many genome data banks. So try and download data and try to see how you can use your learnings to solve small problems. You don't have to change the world with your solutions. Just try to solve small problems, and it does not even have to be innovative. If you can take ideas from papers or from existing work being done by companies and so on, but any kind of real life experience will really help you to transition into an industry role.
Okay, we have another question. How long does it take to learn data science?
So that's a continuous process, and I would say I'm still learning now. So technology is a ever changing domain. So there is no easy answer to this, like that will take you 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. So you have to keep learning, and once you are in the job, even then you'll keep learning. But I would say, like, to get your first job, to be ready enough so that you start making contribution to a company, you and assuming you know nothing now, maybe a year is the minimum, I would say, to have some understanding of machine learning, Python programming, understanding how to deal with big data, and so on. Maybe a year to start you, so that you have enough knowledge so that you can start making contribution in a company. Otherwise, the company is not going to pay you if you're not making a contribution, right? So, but then like you have to continuously keep learning. Like even today, when I start a project, I I will see something which I've never seen before, and then I have to go back and learn and study, and then come back and start working on it. So,
Okay, Sai asks, it is not possible that we would always have a complete data set. So how is it dealt with?
so this is again, this would be this is a very domain specific question. So, for example, you can use, there are many machine learning methods like for using to impute missing data, and then there are like examples in which so much data would be missing that you just you have to just trim the data to what data is available and just work on that. So again, this is a very open question, so it would basically depend on the problem you're trying to solve. And there are many cases, like I said, data science is not a magic. So there will be many cases in which uh, DS cannot answer the question. So that's just, you will hit a roadblock, and that happens. And when you're working in a company, it is actually also your job to explain to the business why this problem cannot be solved, because there is no data, so and so on. So I'd like to answer this question: what is the work of a data scientist, and the difference between analyst and scientist? So broadly, there is not much difference, but in terms of work, there is slightly different. So in most cases, if you enter a company with a MS, you would probably be given the role of something like a data analyst. So the role of a data analyst is basically bridging the gap between data scientists and the business. So the business is the group who sets the problem. Like for example, in a pharma company, the business will come up with a problem such as, okay, I want to target these physicians. How do I identify these? Now they don't know anything about data science, and data scientists are usually PhDs or people with a lot of experience who work with algorithms. So how to bridge the gap between these two? So here is where the data analyst roles comes in which they will understand the problem, they will analyze the data, come up with some basic visualizations or basic responses to the questions the business asked, and also bridge the gap between the business and the data scientist, and say like, okay, how these problems can be converted to a machine learning problem or things like that. So analyst is basically the bridge between the data scientist and the business. And the data scientist would primarily work with algorithm development, with how to deal with, how to model the data, what kind of machine learning or deep learning algorithms to use, etc. And then there is another role, which is the data engineer role, who would then take the ideas of the algorithm developed by the data scientist and put into production. Now, data scientists, we are not computer scientists, or like we are not software engineers. So when I make a program, I won't make the website, which is the user interface, or I won't make the software. So those things will be made by a software engineer or a data engineer. So that is a third kind of role. So analyst, data scientist, and data engineer or software engineer. These three roles are critical for any data science project. Yeah. So do you want to come up with a question or?
Yeah, there are a few questions.
Yes.
Pratha asks, there are different applications of ML like NLP, image recognition, etc. Does a data scientist use all of these throughout their career, or do they specialize in one of them?
Yeah. So it's usually it with a data scientist would start honing their skills in one particular field, but often what happens in a large company is you rotate between different groups. So for example, if for me, like right now, I work uh, a lot with network analytics or graph analytics, but next year I might rotate into a group which works with NLP. So for the next 2 years, I might work majority of my projects with NLP, and then I can move on to a different function which uses uh, uh, like image recognition, and so on. So because if you keep working for your entire life on one domain, it will get very boring. So so in large companies, you often get the opportunity to work in different kinds of projects, so that you continuously build your skill, and also it does not, so that it does not get boring. And these are like really different projects. So say when I move from doing a project like learning NLP and doing a project NLP to something like computer vision, this would involve a lot of learning for me as well. So that keeps the intellectual stimulation high and really keeps us motivated to, you're learning also, and you are also doing more and more interesting things. But if there are many people like who don't like this, so in that case, if you don't want to experiment with others, like you can just stick with, you choose one domain, you get really trained, highly trained in that, you basically become a subject matter expert in that, and for 10-15 years you keep doing the same work. That's also a career track you can choose.
Okay, so there are quite a few questions saying that there are no proper courses offered by any university on data science in India. So,
Mhm.
how do we know and get the perfect data science coursework? And someone also said that IIT Madras has recently introduced an online degree in programming and data science. What is your opinion on this? Is this degree program enough to land a DS role?
Yeah, I'm not aware of this program, but in general, like having a degree will help, but it's not the only way to get a job. So I'm not aware of this program. But if it is something which we can do along with, if it's like a certification which you can do along with your BSMS at IISER, and you can manage the time, I think it should be helpful. But the one thing I would like to point out is that the courses which are like a 2-year master's program or something, like the one provided by IIT Madras. I don't know about this particular, but in general, they tend to be very theoretical and little like lag from what the industry is using today. So if you invest the same amount of time in learning yourself from open source courses and doing projects, you might be at the same level or even ahead in when you are applying for a job. Now, Now, if this is a full-time course, there would probably be placement cells and like placement career fairs and so on. So those are very helpful. The major challenge in getting a job without doing a formal course from a university or having a specific degree is to get your first interview. Now, many of these companies will get hundreds and hundreds of resumes every day for one position. Now, what they do is they'll use basically NLP or algorithms to sort out the CVs. Now, say you have a BS degree in earth sciences, many times you apply to a company like Facebook, your CV will not be selected for the interview. So in these cases, having a degree in earth science, a degree in data science will help. Now, the way to get around this problem is if you network a lot and you get a referral to a position you like, then that would definitely guarantee you an interview. So there are pros and cons of both, like doing a course like the one provided by IIT Madras versus studying on your own. But you can get a job both ways. So let me address this question, fourth one, which is like the skills employers look for. So having sat on the other side of the table of the interview panel for a year now, when I'm interviewing people, the main skill I look for is always how well you are able to implement your learnings, your theoretical learnings to real life problems. So I will not ask you, okay, define X, Y, Z. I'll ask you, okay, so I see on your CV you have skills X, Y, and Z. Can you give me an example of a project in which you have used this? And based on the answers, I'll often ask, okay, so you applied X, why did you not apply Y, and so on. So that would show me the real skill of the potential employee and how much he or she is able to apply his or her theoretical or textbook learning to real world problems. And that is true for most companies. I've interviewed for a couple of companies, and every time the interviews often they're not very theoretical. Okay, define this, prove this. Nothing, not like that. They're mostly how did I apply? What projects have I done? Why did I do this particular project, and so on. So that's the main skill, like applying textbook knowledge to real world examples. Okay. Any other questions you have on the chat?
No, none as of now.
Okay, so then then let me just talk about what a specific resource I would like to recommend for a job, which is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a really great tool, and if you are interested in getting an industry job, I would highly recommend you to start sprucing up your LinkedIn profile. So put up your picture, put up brief blurb about yourself. Don't keep it casual. Keep it very formal. Write all your experiences. If you have done any kind of projects, put those projects in, and start connecting with people whom you think are in the industry which you are interested in, and start connecting with alumni. And so when you connect with alumni, you will have a good understanding of like who is working where. So when the time comes for you to start applying for jobs, you can always reach out for referrals. Now, you say when you are applying to a job or asking for a referral, you should have your LinkedIn profile completed. If there is a blank profile and somebody asks me for a referral, I would probably not do that. But if I see a complete profile with all the qualifications and your project and everything, I would definitely go ahead and recommend you to a position. So use that. And one more thing I've seen, I have a lot of IISER juniors on my LinkedIn profile, and what I've seen is sometimes people treat LinkedIn as an extension of Facebook. They will post jokes, they will post humiliating photos of their friends, and do not do that, because keep that for Instagram or Facebook. LinkedIn is very professional. Keep it professional, because you would be adding your future employers on this profile. So if your friend got a PhD and is shy, and you're just like ripping apart his shirt, you don't want to put that picture on LinkedIn. So keep it professional and connect with people. So going on, so I just made a list of a couple of my friends who are in different companies in working in data science today. So these are all big companies, and they are like working in really diverse roles within these companies, and they are all from different backgrounds. So Abhishek is from chemistry, Narendra is from biology, Devashish is from physics, Parivesh is from maths, Amit is from physics, Yusuf is from earth sciences. And they are all working in data sciences in different industries. And there is a semi-active LinkedIn group, which is called the IISER Data Science Network, and I have the link out here. So join this group, add up people you think might are working in the industry you look forward to working in, and ask them questions. Whenever I get questions from IISER Junior, I am very happy to answer them and try to help them in any way I can. And all of these people, they would be more than happy to help you in your job search or refer to a company and so on. So use these resources. We did not have these when we were at IISER, but today you have these alumni groups. So make use of them. Okay, and let me go. Any other questions which I missed? Okay, so scope in India. So today there is a lot of scope, and while the job scene in India lags behind the US couple of years, but now it's slowly catching up. And a lot of the companies in India, they have their data science positions, as well as many US companies have their offices in India, such as Walmart, and they have really good positions which are at the forefront of data sciences, and they are hiring locally in India. That's it. Salary, again, it varies a lot. I can't comment on that. Happiness and work pressure. So these are two things I at least I can comment from my perspective. I'm like, from my side, I'm really happy to work in my company, and it's a very satisfying and fulfilling job. When I joined IISER, like I wanted to do research, but down the line, I I realized I cannot stay in academia, so I moved to industry. But even today, I am basically doing research, so that does give me like the happiness which research provides, as well as not doing it in the constrained environment of academia gives me a lot of flexibility. I don't have to think about funding or writing grants and so on. The salary and everything, they are a constant thing, so I don't have to think about whether I'll get tenure track or not, or whether like where my next salary is going to come from. Do I have to write grants or not? I don't have to think about all those. So that frees up my mind, and I can concentrate on what work I want to do. In my profile, I do about half of my work for scientific affairs, Janssen Scientific Affairs, which is basically doing scientific research, and the other half I do for commercial. So I basically get to experience both worlds, like the corporate world as well as the scientific world, and that keeps me intellectually stimulated. For work pressure, they, at least in the US, like work, there is a very important stress on work-life balance. So I I usually start working from 9 a.m. and I'm done by 5 p.m. Weekends are completely free, which gives me a lot of time to travel and do the things I like. And there is a very important stress on work-life balance in most companies in the US. So and even in India now. So they are basically, like, most companies here are adapting to the work culture of US. So it's much better than what I had in my PhD. Okay, yeah. Any more questions?
Yes, there are some questions.
Sure.
Arnab asks, can you please refer the projects where we can contribute for data science, especially bioinformatics?
I can look up a couple of projects, and I can send it to the group if that works. Like, I, at the top of my mind, I can't think of any like specific projects, but there are many resources, and I would be happy to forward it to you guys for bioinformatics. And actually, Narendra is a very good resource. Like, if you guys want to look him up on LinkedIn, so he did his PhD from Brandeis University, working on neuroscience, and he does a lot of bioinformatics projects. He used to do. Today he's doing machine learning on recommendations on TripAdvisor, but he's like a biologist who does a lot of bioinformatics projects in the past. So reach out to Narendra if you want.
Yes, and we have another question. Is a doctorate necessary to get into data science, or can we enter DS directly after BSMS if we do these courses and projects?
Yeah, sure. So you can enter industry right after your BSMS today, and it, depending on the company, you may get a data analyst role first and not a data scientist role directly, but that's fine. That's just the important thing is to get a foot in the door, and yes, definitely. Like, the short answer is yes. You can get a job right after doing an MS, and if you go to this LinkedIn group, you will find many people who are today working in companies right after their MS. So you can see their career journey as well.
Okay, so we have no more questions as of now.
Okay. Then great. It was very good to share my experiences, and I'm happy. Add me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer any more questions if you have. Feel free to email me or message me on LinkedIn.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roychowdhury, for being the esteemed speaker for this session. I'd now like to conclude today's first episode of Cardinality. Thank you to everyone for joining in.
Thank you, everyone, and best of luck with your careers, everyone.
Thank you, sir.